Commercial viability is considered at the pre-project stage, and you need to check if the project is worth executing and if it's worth the time and effort. So when do you consider commercial viability? At the end of the project? Before you start. That's, you consider it at the beginning, before the project even starts. You don't want to put your money, your time and your effort in a project that doesn't worth it at the end. Later we're going to see projects in the UK that nobody did this. If you don't engage in commercial viability at the end of the project or in the future, the business might shut down. A project could be viable today and would not in the future. Can you tell me about a project that looks viable at the beginning and wasn't in the future? Can you think of any project in this UK or in any part of the world that looks viable, but after the project, just a few months or few years, everything was shut down? They just waste money. Somebody came up with the project, with the idea, and now it's gone. It's an assignment I want everybody to go and check. Look at about 10 different projects in the world, at least 5 in the UK, that the project wasn't viable. In commercial viability, you are going to take a proactive approach and be risk aware as possible. Risk management is part of commercial viability. In commercial viability, I want you to think, how long will the project lock you in? Have you ever started a project just to discover that you are just locked in the project? You might think that you are going to start and finish the project in 8 months, just to discover that in the next 13 to 15 months, you're still in the project. Then you begin to consider if it is actually commercially viable. In commercial viability, you need to consider who bears the risk in the project. In commercial viability, you need to consider the risk profile of the project. In commercial viability, you need to consider cash flow. I will give you a project, and you're going to consider in a report if the project is commercially viable. I will give you some guide about the project. In commercial viability, you need to consider your return on investment. They call it ROI, isn't it? Going to school, going to the college, going to the university, you have to consider your return on investment. Check if the project is environmentally sustainable. You won't just consider only your return on investment. You should also consider the environment. There is no need of you destroying the environment simply because you want to make a good money. In commercial viability, consider the competition. How many similar projects are in the area, and what difference are you bringing in? Can you tell me where this can be considered? Either business or projects that you are about to establish, but you must consider the competition in the area, and you consider the difference that you're going to bring in. What difference are you going to make? Where there you have about 10 already established businesses in that area, and you're coming in to establish yours. Can you compete? Is there anything that is different that you're bringing in? If not, check again before you put the money down. Some of these projects, you are going to take loan from the bank. You need to consider many things. Even though it's your own saved money, you still need to consider many things. In commercial viability, you need to consider costs in running and maintaining the structure and facilities in place. It's not just enough to have a beautiful structure, to have a beautiful, good business. Have you considered the cost of continuous running and maintaining the structures and the facilities? You might complete a structure and all the facilities for £500,000, And to maintain this in the near future, probably in the next 3 years, might cost more than £1 million. Ask yourself, is it commercially viable? There are structures that people will sell to you and tell you about all the facilities in the building. Initially, it looks beautiful. It looks nice, isn't it? But can you maintain those facilities in the near future? In commercial viability, consider if people are willing to pay for the installed facilities. It's not just enough to install facilities for people. It's not just enough to install facilities in homes. You might renovate a building and install new facilities, and you are going to rent it out. Ask yourself, are people willing to pay for the monthly or yearly rent in that building? In commercial viability, you consider if there are laws and regulations that might affect the project. In commercial viability, you identify gaps in the market and create unique value that will set you apart. Commercial viability is all about looking at factors and how they will affect the project at the beginning and in the near future. So all we have listed and explained are factors you need to consider in commercial viability of a project. Both this and this.